So, what is Ascendant? It's an over-the-top, pyro-filled, fast-paced shooter that wears its 80s heart on its sleeve. It's manic, chaotic, competitive, and full of vulgar language, killer 80s music, and developers that like to abuse innocent members of the gaming press.
Cover me!
Honestly, I encountered this purple-haired motherfucker 6 times across 2 games, and he killed me every time. Well played, but you.
These noobs don't stand a chance.
Johnny and I were lucky enough to sit down with some of the fantastic folk at 47 and PlayFusion and dive into 2 matches of Ascendant to learn what really makes this game stand out from the crowd. Now, I want to say capture the flag, but I also don't want to say capture the flag. Capture the flag is the best way to describe its core victory mechanic on a surface level, but it reduces Ascendant to a level of simplicity that the game is just far beyond. I hate capture the flag as a game mode, I find it dull as hell, but I very much enjoyed Ascendant's take on it. So let me explain.
We'll have to protect it well.
The beginning of each mission will function much of the same. You and your teammates will gather resources by harvesting plants and defeating AI NPCs, such as really pissed off snails and this giant bear lizard gorilla thing who hits like an absolute truck. You then head to your team's forward base where you can learn the layout of the land and buy upgrades for when you respawn later. This is the earliest introduction to the game's deeper mechanics, the cerebral elements that truly distinguish Ascendant from other shooters. It's not just a run and gun, there's a lot more thinking involved in this one, and it all starts at the forward base. Each team has a forward base. There are 4 teams of 3 people in each game, and the forward base is used as your sort of operating center for where you buy upgrades for the base so you can respawn with better equipment. And it also shows you the location of biocores. This is the capture the flag style victory mechanic I discussed before. Each team will try to fight their way to the biocores, claim the biocore, escort it back to their base to get a victory point, I suppose. The team with the most points at the end wins. Now what changes here is pretty much everything. The locations of the biocores change every game, the order in which they're revealed is different, and the nature of world events and other game swinging mechanics also change every match. This isn't just randomly generated variables. Each variation has been handcrafted and chosen on purpose, with some procedural elements applied. This creates a much more sort of developer-focused interaction with the players. It's not just random elements. They put these things in the right place at the right time. So a lot of the fights and the encounters and the travel you've got to do, it all just comes together in real synchronicity. The true standout element of Ascendant is the random nature of player choice. Do you and your team focus on grinding resources early on? Resources that you deposit into the shops counts for each individual player. So if I drop $100 in there, everyone on the team gets that same amount to spend. So it is completely focused on teamwork, working together to get as much resources as you can, which can be used to buy upgrades for each character. It can also be used to sort of summon your custom weapon that you've made in the lobby, which creates for a much better experience. We all know we're so much better with the guns we're used to, the guns we're accustomed to, right? It really helps your kill to death ratio, and it's going to help your performance in this squad-based stuff as well. But maybe while you've been sitting there gathering resources, the other teams have already rushed a biocore or 2, or maybe one of them is readying one of the world events, and some of these are insane. In our first game, we had 2 different world events available, an airstrike and some giant mind-controllable lizard thing. These are insanely strong. A well-placed airstrike can wipe out an entire team escorting a biocore, while the lizard thing, when you don't get stuck in doorways and charging like a moron, can dismantle enemy teams in a heartbeat. It's this constant evolution of tactics and options on the battlefield that makes Ascendant truly special, constantly testing the leadership and teamwork of every team on the battlefield. One of the game's monikers is adapt or die, and it really is very much adapt or die. I loved every minute of it, but there are a couple of challenges this game faces that I'm not sure it's going to be able to overcome.
I gotta res you. Right, you gotta go back and claim what's yours, guys.
Oh yeah, we also that's for sure.
Another asshole down. Just another notch in my long-range.
Enemy presence detected at our base.
Keep it up. Enemies on my tail.
On a killing spree.
While I absolutely love the trailers building up to this game, the 80s sitcom vibe, the middle fingers, the foul language, if you haven't seen them, definitely seek them out. They are very well worth a watch. Players are never really going to experience what makes Ascendant unique without diving headfirst into the action. Trailers, streams, YouTube videos, they won't do this game justice. On the surface level, it could very easily be mistook for another generic shooter in a world of generic shooters. But it's got everything it needs to succeed. It's got fantastic character customization options, huge variety of weapon customization options, a deep level of strategical thinking alongside the fast-paced gameplay. They've just got to get enough players through the door, and I think that's where this game's going to have its biggest challenge. I think they said it's going to come out, it's not AAA priced, $30 to $40 sometime Q4 this year, but there is an open beta, so if any part of this game has even remotely piqued your interest, definitely give the beta a shot. It's coming out on Steam August 3rd and August 4th, so it's definitely worth diving in if you want to see what the Ascendant really has to offer. Ultimately, I had a blast playing Ascendant, but it's very difficult to try and separate true objectivity in these events. Right now, it's a brand new game. I hadn't played it before. I was playing alongside Johnny, who's a dear friend and an editor on Gamers Heroes, and Arthur, one of the developers, was walking us through it. We all synced up really well, similar sense of humor. Everyone had a great time. It was a good laugh. All the other players were Gaming Press members, so we all equally kind of sucked. And it sort of makes it hard to get a real feeling of the game. So I'm definitely going to be diving into the open beta. If anything, ignoring the actual gameplay itself, just the 80s aesthetic to me was just so... It just felt so nostalgic. It felt so warm. You know, games so much nowadays, they're just watered down to a point of where everyone's afraid of offending absolutely anyone about absolutely anything. And developers don't really get to just be creative in the way they want to be. And I think, you know, with the middle fingers, the absolute fantastic foul language, the killer 80s soundtrack, it was half an hour we were in sort of like a pre-lobby thing where they were talking about the game and showing us the videos and stuff, and I was paying full attention, but I was sitting next to a jukebox the entire time that was playing some real 80s classics. I don't think I've ever heard Tina Turner in a video game before, so that was a first for me. If nothing else, rocking out to Final Countdown while destroying enemies attempting to steal your biocore is an experience everyone needs at least once.
We'll have to defend it for a minute, and enemies entering the area will stop the progress. So
Biocore extraction initialized.
the
If they
area.
want our biocore, they're gonna have to come and get it from my fucking
There's a
agent.
spirit
Guard
right
castle
now
out
here.
there. Like, for anyone who crosses. Under fire.
There's still enemies in the area. Do you see one?
Sending this bastard back to the respawn screen.
Alright, picking up.